Hey everyone, welcome to another video review. This is the Transformers Age of the Primes Voyager class, Alpha Trion. You can see him there in front of his box. We'll go and put him off the side real quick and take a look at that box. And yes, you can see, yeah, it's a Transformers box. Of course, Age of the Primes right there, and Alpha Trion, the Hasbro logo. And of course, you got some nice artwork of Alpha Trion in both his robot and vehicle mode. You got the 22 steps from robot to vehicle. Alpha Trion's Zakara Tomy up here. On the side, you have a up close shot of Alpha Trion right there. On the side, you have some of the statues from the Age of the Primes thing right there, including, hey look, there's Alpha Trion, I guess, and Voyager class and everything down here. And then of course down here you have on the bottom you have what's included and some manufacturing details, and on the back of course you have some copyright warnings and some product shots of like what's included with Alpha Trion. There you go, and what Alpha Trion looks like. And of course you give the instructions. Mine came curled in the box, but get some instructions on how, of course, how to transform and all this stuff. And yeah, there's a couple things which I have to warn you about, which is, yeah, it's very easy to go, wait a minute, something's not right here. But Alpha Trion, that's the thing, though, of course, technically, this is not technically Alpha Trion, as you might guess. Although they put an Alpha Trion in the box, it's not technically not Alpha Trion. But yeah, getting in close here, you can see, he's got his weird little purple mask thing with the white and the blue eyes right there. He's got his bit of a mustache right there and whatnot on the silver face. You got the very much the burgundies and silvers and purples all over the place, little spiky things, which, yeah, those actually are come out separate in the box, but they just plug in right there like that. I kind of forgot they cut separate in the box, but it comes out in the box like that if you like, because you guys got silvers and grays and blue, purples and red in that burgundy, crimson, red cover, and a little bit of blue back here, and of course a bit of backpack which kind of looks like a cape, so that kind of works in a way. So yeah, he looks pretty good. But yeah, as you notice, there is no beard, and that's because, again, this is not Alpha Trion. This is actually A3, the younger version of Alpha Trion, which is actually great because, so for people like me who got that just got that Alpha Trion in that 2-pack with Orion packs, it's good that we don't have to necessarily replace him because, well, now we got A3 and Alpha Trion, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, articulation though, he's got the head can go left and right. It's actually technically it's a swivel here, but there's a hinge here, so you can kind of look up and down. That's mostly transformation. Here at the shoulder, you just full rotation right there. Outward, you got this much like that, and of course these shoulder pauldrons can move separately, so you can have them kind of a little flared out if you like. Of course, you have a bicep swivel right there. There's an elbow bend that goes more than 90 degrees. There isn't a wrist swivel, but I guess you can, because transformation, you can push him in a bit, although that's kind of just makes him hide away. But he does have opening and closing fingers, which is, again, all one piece though. Back here, if you get the cape a little bit out of the way, you do have a waist swivel. And there is, thanks to transformation, he does have an ab crunch, although it's kind of a little weird looking in some places, but he does have an ab crunch. It goes about that far forward, which is pretty cool. You can also go back a bit, but it kind of starts looking a little weird as well. There's hip skirts right here, get out of the way for the hips can move forward that far, and of course back that far, and outward you do have full splits and then some. You have a thigh rotation right there. Knees can bend a little more than 90 degrees as well, and of course down here at the feet you do have ankle tilts, which goes about that far, almost 90 degrees, and the heel can move down, although it kind of clicks into place. The heel can move down if you need that for support, and the toe can move as well. So there you go. You got some degree of articulation there, which is pretty nice. He also looks pretty good to boot. As for accessories, well, actually there's one right there staring you in the face. This thing, the Autobot symbol, can actually come out of his stomach right there, because the whole thing in that one episode, I think it was in season 3, where we saw the young, A3 there, and he kind of has the Autobot symbol. You can unplug that, and I guess you can technically hold it or something if you want. You can technically hold it, sort of, or something, or one thing they show you in the manual, which is unplugging one of these things and plugging this into the shoulder, which, sure, I guess, but, that's kind of neat, but, I'm just going to leave it right there for the most part. Like that, he has also book. You can see right here, a book that actually opens, which is pretty cool. And it is the Covenant of Primus, although I think this is the one based on what you see in, possibly in Beast Wars, I think. I'm not sure if we can see a little tape thing and all the recording stuff right there. It's in translucent red with a little bit of silver printing on it. Yeah, there's actually multiple pages if I can get it open. Yeah, and there's of course some Cybertronian there, an Alpha Trion symbol. I don't know what that actually says. I wouldn't surprise me if it says something like to all or one or something like that. I don't know what that says. I've never bothered learning Cybertronian. Yeah, then of course you got really nothing back here. And yeah. Of course there's a peg right there, which means you can hold the book. Like so. And of course hold it, while it's open. Hold the book while it's open like so. Which is good because he also comes with a little, a quill. Comes with a quill, which is pretty cool. But yeah, they can hold that in his other hand, and now you can have it like, now you can have it like he's writing or something, which is pretty neat. So yeah, you just have him kind of writing stuff down or whatever. He also comes with this thing, which in mine out of the box, this thing was facing this way, which confused me. The little peg here, because it rotates around. For storage or robot mode, for storage purposes, you want it facing this way, like this, and then this can be plugged into right here. The peg hole right here. See that? There's a peg hole right here. You just plug that in right there, and this also right here is a tab right here, which goes in that little slot right there. Book falls out of the hand. And there goes kind of part of his, I guess, silhouette now. If you like. Put that book in make your hand. There's that. Also, you can take this out, take this and unplug it from the back. I just kind of spoiled it a little bit. Unplug it from the back here, and this can split like this and come around on this side, and then you rotate this peg around the other way. You bring them back together, and they'll, tab together like that in the front like this. And now it can become more or less an arm-mounted shield. Yeah, like that. Which is pretty cool as well. So you got all that. Doesn't really come with a weapon, but the pen, mightier sword, something, yeah. So yeah, actually pretty cool that they did this. They did this sort of thing where it's like, yeah, this is kind of a more elaborate than I was expecting for a simple shield slash the accessory, but it does also involve other things and require it to do that sort of thing. But still, pretty cool, and just kind of neat that the Covenant of Primus essentially right there like that. That's just kind of neat in general. And there we go. He was just kind of a little out of whack. Only thing, yeah, I wish this peg was a little deeper, but also be more egregious in the back of the book, but there you go. He's actually pretty cool. I rather like him. So, yeah. So, some comparisons real quick. First of all, here he is with his Power of the Primes version. His Power of the Primes self. He'll stand. Yeah. That little guy. Of course, there's the aforementioned that 2-pack with Orion packs that recently came out just a little bit ago. You can see again, he's got the full beard and long beard and everything. He's only got the mustache. So yeah, it's basically middle-aged versus yeah, old, I guess. But yeah, there gives you an idea right there. So yeah, now the nice thing is because of this, because they went ahead and basically made A3 instead of just Alpha Trion, you don't have to try to replace this guy if you don't want to. You can have Alpha Trion and A3, so that's pretty cool. There's that. And of course, here he is with all the primes so far in Age of the Primes. This is 7 now, by the way. Well, almost all of them. Again, I'm not putting Star Convoy out here until I have all 13 of them, because he's the mysterious 13th prime. So, I guess big reveal where we see all of them in one shot. But yeah, here's 7 of the 12. Or the 13, I guess. And of course, yeah, I almost forgot. Here he is with Studio Series 86 Optimus, just to give you an idea there. There you go. And real quick, of course, measurements for this guy, his height and robot meter up to the top of all this little crown thing is about 6 9/16 inches or 16.7 centimeters, and he weighs about 4.9 ounces or 140 grams. Now, transformation stuff. So to get him transformed, getting this out of his hand and getting this out of his hand and folding up his book. Actually, before I almost forgot. Storage. The pen here, back here, there's little tabs right here. What you do is there's little slots right here on the pen. You just tab it into one of these little slots. I have to like that, and then you can close this up over top. And the book here can just peg into the back like that. I almost forgot to mention that, but yeah, there's the weapon storage for this guy in his robot mode. There's that. So anyway, transforming him, Yeah, pull those off, you know, get these off to the side like there, just do that. So right here, what you want to do is take the fist here and collapse it into the forearm like this and like that. Get those down. Take the head here and push it all the way back like that. So he's kind of, you know, I think the arms also, you want to bring them out like this, just get them out of the way. And right here, what you do on the back right, you want to bring this up right here. And then you take these pieces right here, you bring these out and kind of forward like that. Get them out to that point like that. And then you take the center blue cockpit piece and you want to open that up. And you take this blue piece, you untab it from the back and you bring it through this right here. Bring it through this and wrap it around and over top of the head like that. Then you close this up and, you know, bring that down all the way. You know, close that up. Right here at the waist, you want to rotate that 180 degrees like that. Down here at the legs, what you want to do is take the heels and fold those up into the toes like that, and then bring the toe down like that. And fold up the heel and the toe, and then bring this down like that. Make sure to straighten out the ankles. Right here, what you want to do is rotate 90 degrees at the thigh swivel, and then you see there's these tabs and there's slots. Just tab the legs together like so. That. Make sure the legs are straightened out. Right here, this piece, the piece of the knee, you want to bring this out. It's on a double hinge and it can be a little stiff, at least on mine. We're bringing out this double hinge right here. You can see that right there, that double hinge. Bring it out so it's sitting like that, and do the same thing on this one. Although again, this one on mine is extremely tight. There you go. Sometimes, so it doesn't like to always pop out. But yeah, bring them out like that. Make sure everything's sitting. Then right here at this, the joint right here, I guess the ab crunch, so you bring this back right here. Again, you want to make sure it's all the way back because it's really easy to actually make it stop like here. You want to make sure all the way back like that. And right here, there's little slots right here and the little blues. You can see there's little slots right there. And they go over these tabs right there on the leg like that. Once you've done that, you go ahead and bring these down. Yeah, that's the problem. Sometimes it'll do that on you until it's all tied together. So this will sometimes do that. You want to then bring these down so they're sitting like this and like that. So sitting like that. Make sure this is still all the way. Right here, then you go ahead and rotate the arms 90 degrees like this, and then bring them in. You can see there's a little slot right here for this little peg thing, and there's a slot right here for this tab. So you want to bring those in so those line up like that. And then rotate this around like this at 90 degrees, and then bring it in. So, you know, that goes in there, and this tabs in right there like that. And then down here, you want to split these like this. Right here, this slot right here will go over this tab, and this will kind of, this right here, there's a little tab right here, which will go in the little slot right there. So make sure that goes up in there like that, and same thing on this side. Goes up and tabs in there and slots up in there, hopefully, and not doesn't do this weird thing which I keep. There we go. Every once in a while, just misaligns like that. And with that, you have Alpha Trion in his vehicle mode. Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. Yeah, it's actually a pretty cool little space cruiser thing. Yeah, it's very reminiscent of the Seeker, which kind of makes sense. Yeah, very much mostly again purple. You got these red stripes, which cool thing is you can see these red stripes actually now line up with each other. You know, kind of have a continuous paint job right there. You kind of head is, I mean, you can literally see his head right there, but you know, it's in a way that's like not too much of a big deal. Hey, look, I can see behind him. The other thing is right here in my mind, this is supposed to go all the way flush, and it doesn't quite. You can see it kind of push itself back out, which is a little bit annoying, but you know, nothing too egregious personally. That's a little bit disappointing, but yeah, you can see his head, which, you know, that may be upsetting to you, but I don't really mind too much. Again, Cybertronian thing. You got the red cockpit thing right there. Some nice metallic blue right here, the silver tips and everything. And yeah, he looks pretty cool. The only thing is, yeah, this part right here really sometimes will just pop itself loose, which is a little annoying. These parts right here don't really tab anything. These parts right here, like, yeah, these just don't tab into anything. They just kind of chill out right there. So there's that, unfortunately. Oh yeah, this part right here will come and tab really easily, but it's also not too difficult to put it back in place. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's nice and whooshable. As for again, weapon storage, again, the same tabs and slots as last time for the pen, same exact one. Either side, really, just flip it over. But you just make sure the pen, lines up with that bit. And the book here, just right here, there's a tab right here, and there's a slot. You can see right there. Just make sure the peg's right here, and then just goes nice and flat against there, and that actually hides away pretty nicely. Honestly, that's a really I really genuinely like how the book stores in the vehicle mode. That's that nice and flat to the point you wouldn't even notice necessarily. So yeah, and of course, yeah, he's got all this stuff. There's the landing gear stuff, so he actually sits pretty nicely. Generally, this is a good alt mode. Yeah, it's just kind of a flying wedge, but it's a good looking flying wedge. And also, I guess you do these, like, bring these out like this. I know I don't know, maybe it's some sort of air brake or something. So that's pretty cool in its own right. So there you go. Also in this mode, measurement wise, you know, of course I always say the same thing, but his length, he's about 6 inches long or 15.2 inches or 15.2 centimeters. So yeah. Now for comparisons, of course, here he is with Studio Series 86 Optimus. Right there. Here he is with his old Prime Master for Power of the Primes. There's that. Here's that 2-pack version. You know, the one that's, you know, remold of the Scourge. Which again, you can see they're both flying wedges, but like it's kind of weird because this one's more angular and this one's more, you know, streamlined. You almost feel like this one's a bit more, slightly more futuristic. So, kind of makes sense from that point of view. So, you know, there's that. And of course, both of them you can see that, you know, see the head just chilling there. So hey, you know, it kind of works. It does feel like, you know, this does kind of feel like an evolution. You know, they do feel like they're kind of in that same family of vehicles, so it does kind of work. They really thought their stuff through with this one, so I'm really impressed by that. And here he is with the rest of the primes so far from Age of the Primes. Again, except for Star Convoy. Yeah, center that a little bit better, but yeah. You see, yep, he's actually comparable in size to Vector Prime, you know, as this flying space wedge thing. Yep, there you go. That is Alpha Trion. Again, I really appreciate this is technically, well, yeah, say it's Alpha Trion. He is technically A3, which, yeah, becomes Alpha Trion. So, yeah, it doesn't matter that much. But, yeah, I do appreciate that. That means, you know, I don't have to worry about the Alpha Trion I just bought. And a lot of people had already also just bought. But you also can just be Alpha Trion if you want. It probably wouldn't surprise me if someone who has a replacement head at some point. The transformation is actually a lot more clever than I thought it would be. There's a lot more going on than I thought. I mean, granted, it's also pretty, you know, not too difficult to figure out, but there's more going on than I thought would be. I do love this bit with, you know, this right here, this part rotating. You know, so, you know, you have the chest piece is kind of right there. This is the front of his, you know, this is his chest right here. So that's kind of weird why it winds up. It's like, I wouldn't expect that necessarily. I was, you know, when I first saw, you know, some of the renders, I thought, oh, it's basically going to be like the Seeker. Actually, I have it, you know, it's going to be just like the, you know, Studio Series 86 Seeker, you know, just kind of the same, you know, or yeah, not Seeker, I said Seeker. The trackers, you know, all that stuff. The sweeps. Yeah, there was, wow, I just had lost it for a second. Yeah, sweeps, you know, it's kind of, I thought it was going to transform very similar, just a robot just kind of, you know, just more or less. But no, it actually does. They do some pretty clever things with that. I just knocked that off. Whoops. They actually do some pretty clever things there, and I'm genuinely pleased with this thing. I genuinely like this toy a lot. I think it's actually better. I feel it's better than the previous Alpha Trion, but you know, I'm still going to keep that thing just because, you know, this is A3. Yeah, some people may not like some parts of it. You know, like the arms are just chilling out. You can see the head's obviously right there. There's some gaps right there, but honestly, it's just a fun figure. It's genuinely fun to mess with, and it's cool that rather than a gun or whatever, he actually straight up has a pen and book. That's just kind of wild to me. There's just, you know, no weapons really, again, except the pen and book. So, yeah, I think he's worth it. Again, he is still at the older price. He came out at the old price point of $35, so he's still worth it. I think he's really good. He's really fun. He's got some degree of variety. You know, he's got some cool things going on, and he's generally a fun figure, so yeah, I recommend him. He's a fun. You may not want him if you already have the other Alpha Trion. You don't necessarily need it. You know, it's one of those things. If you don't feel like you need another Alpha Trion, fair enough. But if you don't already have an Alpha Trion, this is a good one to get for sure. So, and again, if you also have the recent Alpha Trion, then this one you can still get this one and still have a justification of, oh, this one's A3. So, you know, there's that. So that's it for this review. I hope you found it informative and entertaining. Hope you like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my social media. It's down in the description and at the end of the video. Check out my Ko-fi and my Patreon. And I shall see you next time with another video review.